Good morning. Welcome to the Daily Echo. It is wonderful Wednesday, April 29th. Talking about anger and anxiety today. I release a weekly health update that has different things in it that pertain to health. I want to talk a little bit about what anger and anxiety do. There's a new study that looked at heart attacks, followed 300 people that had suffered heart attacks. And it showed that when we get really angry, that for the 120 minutes following the bout of being angered, of highly angered, you have an 8.5 times greater chance of suffering a heart attack. Anxiety, you have a 9.5 times chance higher of suffering a heart attack, which brings us back to those two emotions, anger and anxiety. And why do we experience those? Most of the time, I think all of us will agree that when we're dealing with anxiety, a lot of times what we fear is not even real. We've talked about the acronym for fear as false evidence appearing real. We can get our minds so worked up in worst case scenarios, or as Dave Blanchard says, catastrophe thinking, that you can literally within 5 minutes in your mind paint the worst case scenario of anything ever happening. Hormones are released in your body, and as we can see with the physiology, it has sometimes effects on our body that could be life-threatening. So we want to not go there at all. And whenever we start to go into an anxiety bout, we need to train ourselves to move out of that area, understanding that we have control what we think of. We don't have to go there, even though we may have done that 1,000 times before. We need to start breaking that chain. When we move into anger a lot of times, it's because we are more reactive a lot of times. You know, you see animals a lot of times who don't have the ability to reason and think like we do. They operate in what's called the limbic system, which is a response-driven system. Ring the bell, salivate, ring the bell, salivate. Eventually, the dogs with Pavlov's, you didn't even have to feed them and they're salivating because they heard that bell every time food was given to them. In anger, we have to stop those reactions that are occurring that may have happened hundreds of times before. We just don't want to go there. It doesn't do any good. Most of the time, anger doesn't drive any positive behavior whatsoever. Some athletes will say, well, look at so-and-so. When they get angry, they play better. The statistics show that most athletes suffer much worse when they get into that state because they cannot control the hormone release. So those two areas you want to really look at in your life. You don't need to go there at all. You need to evaluate what's going on, understand that you can take that and you can put that in your mind and you can actually look at it and say, what is this? Is this garbage? Is this the same thing that's going to put me in an anxiety state like it's done before? I don't want this in my life, and throw it out. Why am I getting upset? A lot of times if you just smile and laugh, you'll laugh about it and you won't get angry. So let's not go there anymore because it doesn't do any productive, doesn't do anything productive for us. And as we can see from the latest studies, it is really difficult on our physiology as well. Have a wonderful Wednesday. We'll be coming back at you again tomorrow on Tremendous Thursday. As always, thanks for taking time to watch the Daily Echo.